everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me May or MG if you would like, and today I have for you my September wrap-up and my reading plans for October. That's the next month. I almost said August, that was the month prior. I don't know where my head is at. Spoiler alert, I did not read all of the books that were on my TBR game TBR for September. I didn't read the Penguin Book of Women Poets, and I didn't read, what is called After the King, which is a collection of fantasy short stories in the style of J.R.R. Tolkien. Didn't get to those. It's fine. I'm not going to give myself any sort of punishment, mostly because I'm not doing my TBR game for October, but we will get to that later when we talk about my plans for October. For now, we're going to talk about the books that I actually did read in September. So first up, we have Halt's Peril by John Flanagan. This is the 9th book in the Ranger's Apprentice series. Gave it a 10 out of 10. I love it. This is one of my favorites in the whole series, and I'm just continuing on with the series that I've been reading throughout the entire year. Next month is actually the last book in the original Ranger's Apprentice series. Sort of. There was a book after it that was then turned into the first book in a sequel series, and there's also a collection of short stories, but next is the last novel in the original Ranger's Apprentice series, and I'm both very sad and very happy to be reading it, but this is the one that I read in September. Then I picked up Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark, which I enjoyed. It was kind of clunky in my opinion. Like, I didn't feel like there was enough of a transition between scenes and chapters, but besides that, it was really interesting, and I liked the character work in this book. It's very short, so the fact that I was able to put such an impact into such a few amount of pages was really cool. I also wasn't a huge fan of the ending. It felt like they were kind of opening it up for a series, but I don't think this is the kind of book that would do well as a series. Like, it's perfectly fine as a standalone, but overall I did enjoy it. Then I picked up Halloween Party by Agatha Christie, and it was actually my first ever Agatha Christie novel, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't fantastic, but I still had an interesting time reading it. I did not solve the murder before Perot did, which I know a lot of people do here on YouTube. They do vlogs like, can I solve the Agatha Christie murder as I'm reading it? Which I love those videos, but I don't think it's something I would be able to do. I'm not much of a mystery solver, but it was a fine book. Then I read Magic by Angie Sage. This is the first book in the Septimus Heap series, and it's actually the book club pick for the Nostalgia Train book club this month. I am the co-conductor along with the host of the club, Writing Violet, and if you're watching this video the day it comes out, then today, this afternoon actually, we are going to be having our live show for this book, and you can come along and chat if you've read it, or if you just want to hang out and hear us talk about it, that's also fine. I really, really loved this book, and I'm excited to talk about it. After that, I picked up The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is my favorite book of all time. This is my third time reading it, and I actually went through, if I could find an example of it, and annotated it by like highlighting things that fit different themes, and I was supposed to vlog it. Didn't really end up as a vlog because it's all B-roll, but you can still watch that video on my channel, and I had a great time reading this. Like I said, it's my favorite book of all time, and I just cannot recommend this to everybody else enough. Like, I really want everyone to read this book. Then I picked up These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever, and I thought this book was okay. It was intriguing more than it was enjoyable, and I don't think the ending was for me, but as I was reading it, I was definitely invested in the story and the characters up until the ending, which kind of fell flat in my opinion. But if you are a fan of character stories and you like dark academia, this is definitely one that you should check out. The next book that I read was Eon by Alison Goodman, and this was the book that my members picked for their exclusive vlog for the month. So if you want to know all the details on this book and what I thought about it as I was reading it, check out my memberships over on Ko-fi, and that's how you can get access to that vlog. Then I read The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, and this was technically a reread, but the first time I read it, I was literally in 8th grade, so it was so long ago, and I saw it was short, and I found someone reading it like as an audiobook on YouTube, so I had that playing as I was reading it along on my ebook copy, and it was very nice, atmospheric time. It was raining while I was reading it at night. It was just a quick read, something fun, and I had a good time with it. And the last book that I finished reading this month was The House of Brides by Jane Cockrum. And at first, I was reading this and I got a few chapters in, and I'm like, is this a retelling of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier? As I continued reading, it felt more like it was just paying homage to that story, and even name drops it later on. But the first few chapters feel like it's going to just retell the same story, but in a more modern setting. This was a good book. It's a kind of domestic thriller, but not quite. It doesn't quite have the tension that you would want out of a thriller, but it's still very interesting. I don't know if the reveals of different secrets that people were hiding were done in the best way. Most of them were done through the main character reading journal entries, which is fine one or two times, but when that's the only way you have your reveals, it just kind of feels overplayed. I also hated the ending of this. I was going to give it a 6 out of 10 at first, and then I read the last 2-3 chapters and I dropped it to a 4. I did not like the ending at all. It might work for other people, it just did not work for me. But I'm glad that I read it. It's been sitting on my shelves for a while, and I finally gave it a shot, and I didn't have a totally terrible time. And right now I am reading a manga that is called Dungeon Meshi. I believe the English official translation is called Delicious in Dungeon. I've never heard anyone call it that. Everybody that I know who's read it just calls it Dungeon Meshi. And it's about a group of adventurers who are learning how to cook the monsters that they slay as they continue on in this dungeon in an attempt to rescue one of their former party members who was eaten by a dragon. And I've read the first volume so far, and it's really good. There are a few more days left in the month, so I'm hoping to knock out a few more volumes of it, and I'm just hoping to have a really good time with it. And now for my plans for October. I explained that I'm not doing my TBR game this month. That is because I'm participating in 2 kind of big readathons this month. The first is Bookopolython, or in this case, Spookopolython, which is hosted by Becca from the channel Becca in the Books. The second readathon I'm doing is Steinoween, which is hosted by the Nostalgia Train Book Club, so Writing Violet, along with the co-host for the month being Laura Nettles, who is kind of like the queen of horror here on this corner of YouTube. But I figured with those 2 big readathons going on, I didn't want to give myself a million more obligation reads. There are still 2 books that I am kind of obligated to read. The first is the 10th Ranger's Apprentice book, The Emperor of Nihanja, and the other one is the Book of 3 by Alexander Lloyd Alexander. I don't remember which order his name goes in. I think it's Lloyd Alexander. This is the first book in the Chronicles of Prydain, and it is the book that my members have picked to be their member vlog for the month. And I will be playing Bookopoly as I go, so I'm hoping I can fit those in at some point during the month, because otherwise I will be in a little bit of trouble, but I'm hoping they fit some prompts. And then aside from that, I will be trying to read a ton of R.L. Stine books. I'm aiming for 5, but if I can get more than that, that would be great, because the whole purpose of Steinoween is to read R.L. Stine books. So if you see here, I have set up in my reading journal, this is the Spookopoly board that I will be following, and then for the community shelf prompts, I actually asked my Ko-fi members, hey, come up with some prompts for me, and so I have 3 members right now. They each come up with 3 prompts, and then just make a 10th one because 10 is a nice number. The 10th community shelf prompt is to read an R.L. Stine book to make it easier, and then the chance prompts are I just picked 10 series that I'm in the middle of, and each card is the next book in each of those series, so that will hopefully help me continue on. And then on this side, I have my Steinoween bingo board. Hopefully I can get a bingo, but yeah. My theme for the month is Halloween Hello Kitty. That was a struggle for me to say for no reason. I just had a sticker sheet that a friend gave me, and I thought it would be a cute theme for my October reading journal. So those are my plans for October, and I cannot wait. Let me know what you guys are doing in the next month, if you're participating in either of these readathons, if you're doing any other ones. I know there's so many readathons going on every single month, and it pains me that I can't participate in more, but I unfortunately can't spend all of my time reading, so I do have to limit myself. I'm so excited for these two that I'm participating in though. And then we come to the end of this video, so if you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.